Hello and welcome to my next installment of rambling thoughts on the Harry Potter film series. I have changed my background, my set, if you want to think about it that way. I guess I just prefer this. It maybe looks a bit more vlogger-ish, if that's something you want to look like. I don't know. Anyway, this past Monday, I watched Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, which came out in 2002, I believe. I might be wrong, and was again directed by Chris Columbus, like the Philosopher's Stone. Now, my initial thoughts on it are fairly similar, except that this isn't quite as much a Chris Columbus type film as the first one. It's more in line with the kind of films that were being made in that era. It feels less like a throwback that the Philosopher's Stone did than the Philosopher's Stone did. It has apparently the least number of changes between book and film. I did look up all the changes actually, because there were. It's been a while since I read the Chamber of Secrets, but I knew there were differences. I thought the ending scene was different in the book, considerably different. But it turns out it's actually not that different. Apart from the fact that Harry puts on the Sorting Hat and the Sword of Gryffindor lands on his head. In the book, in this one, it sort of just appears, sort of in the hat, and he picks it up. Also, the fight with the basilisk is considerably shorter in the book than it is in the movie. But we're digressing from the thoughts here. It is supposed to be rambling, so so yeah. Generally speaking, I enjoyed it. It was nice to just escape for a couple of hours, just on a personal note, into that world, and trying not to watch the film thinking, oh, what I like about this, what I don't like. I still have some thoughts, but generally speaking, I tried to just sit down and enjoy the film for what it was. Things I liked, similar to the first one, really. Professor McGonagall, Maggie Smith's performance is fantastic. I actually like Dumbledore more in this film than I did in the first. I thought, is it Harris? Whatever his first name is, I can't remember. He's also Marcus Aurelius in Gladiator. He seemed to tone down the sort of calmness of Dumbledore. I guess he made Dumbledore a bit more expressive than he was in the first film. I thought he's a bit demure in the first one. Dumbledore's supposed to be calm and kind of level-headed most of the time. But yeah, I think he was more comfortable with the role this time around. And yeah, again, Alan Rickman just takes it to another level of just slimy villainy. Slimy villainy. When he first appears at the beginning of the film, Harry and Ron crash into the Whomping Willow and are taken to his office. There's a bit where he gets up from his chair and he sort of sleeks around the table with his hands on it, sort of looking at them like some kind of like it's like a cat almost. It's sort of cat-like movements. It's phenomenal. I mean it's Alan Rickman. It was going to be phenomenal, but the acting, the kids' acting, noticeably improves. Again, I think Rupert Grint is probably the strongest. Emma Watson comes a bit more into her own. Daniel Radcliffe's still a little bit iffy in this film. He's what, 12 or 13 or whatever. He's not going to be brilliant, but still, it didn't find it very distracting. I don't know. I should have looked this up, but I don't know the name of the actor who plays Tom Riddle / Voldemort. But I thought he was brilliant. I thought he really encapsulated that role perfectly. He seemed a bit older than I remember him in the books. Maybe it's just the way I imagined him in the books. He was a bit younger, but I guess he's supposed to be a prefect, so I guess he should be a bit older than I thought he would be. The pacing in this film is way better. It doesn't speed up inexplicably in parts. It doesn't slow down inexplicably. You feel like everyone gets the screen time that they deserve. In particular, Gilderoy Lockhart, Kenneth Branagh as Gilderoy Lockhart. Not a part I would have thought Kenneth Branagh would really warm to. It's not his usual fare, but again, he really embodies that part fantastically well. He embodies the kind of overconfidence, thin veil of confidence that really underneath it all, he's just completely clueless and a liar. I thought that he played it really, really, really well. So yeah, things I didn't quite like about this film. One thing I forgot to mention in the first film, which I totally didn't realize was missing, that Peeves isn't in these films. As far as I know, he's not in any of them, which I think is just ridiculous. Like, why not have him in there? I don't get it. He's just inexplicably missing. There's also no Death Day celebration in this one, which it's just bizarre that they would leave that out. The ghosts, just in general, seem really underutilized in these two films. John Cleese is sort of wasted as Nearly Headless Nick. He doesn't really get a chance to be John Cleese, at least in these films, the first two films. So yeah, that's something that irks me a bit. Also, the one of the changes from the book that I didn't like is they left out the fact that Harry, at least in this film, they left out that Harry finds out that Filch is a squib. That's missing from this film entirely. And actually, the guy who plays Filch, I think that's one of the slightly weaker performances in this film. In fact, it's probably one of the weakest. He doesn't seem to embody the kind of bitterness that Filch has for being a squib, and the bitterness he holds towards the students, and his sort of his despair at his cat getting petrified. And I feel really embarrassed that I forgot her name. Crap. Mrs. Norris, right? At her getting petrified, I just felt like his he didn't sell that to me. He didn't sell the fact that Filch loves this cat more than probably anything. And he didn't sell his hatred for Harry Potter. Well, not hatred, but you know what I mean, kind of bitterness towards him. And I think, a bit like Professor Quirrell in the first film, he's a little bit, his character's a bit wasted in this film. So yeah, one of the changes I didn't mind, actually, which I thought was maybe, didn't have to be in there, but I didn't mind, was Harry almost falling out of the Fort Anglia when they're flying to Hogwarts. I felt like, it adds a bit of drama and a bit of excitement. It was a little bit unnecessary, but not in a way that felt wasteful of 5 minutes of the film, or however long it is. So yeah, it's interesting. I think these first two, at least, have stayed more faithful to the books than I thought they would, in terms of just the general story. My favourite of the books is The Goblet of Fire, so it'll be interesting in a couple of weeks to see what I think of that one. But I'm looking forward to the next film. I know Gary Oldman is in it, and I love Gary Oldman about as much as I love Alan Rickman. So that'll be interesting. I look forward to next week. Kind of score for this one, similar to the first, I would say, actually. Out of 10, probably about the same, about 6.5, and about 3 out of 5 stars, something like that. It's not again, not offensive to my sensibilities. I think it was slightly stronger than the first film, but not enough to, I think, earn it more, a higher score. Again, it probably won't stick in my mind as a brilliant film. I'm not really expecting any of these to really blow me away. But yeah, I'll see you next week for The Prisoner of Azkaban.